Welcome to iLecture Online. Now in this example we need to be very careful or have a little bit more insight, because when I look at both the numerators and the denominators, they can both be factored. Now normally we would not factor the numerators, but by looking at the numerators and the denominators I realize if I factor them both I can simplify things before I try to subtract the two rational expressions. Let me show you what I mean with that. I'm going to factor the numerator and the denominator in each case, so we end up with 3 times x minus 1 divided by, when I factor out an x, I get x times the quantity x minus 1. And notice the x minus 1s will cancel out. In the second rational expression, I can factor an x from the numerator. I end up with x minus 3. And I can factor out an x squared here, so x squared times x minus 1. Now, we cannot cancel those out, but notice an x and an x can be canceled from the numerator and the denominator there. So, before I do anything else, I can simplify this whole problem by canceling out the x minus 1s here, and by canceling out one of those, and end up with just a 1 over x. Now what I'm going to do is take a look at I'm going to rewrite it so that it's a little bit cleaner. So this is now equal to 3 divided by x. I'm going to make this a little bit longer. Minus, in the numerator, we end up with an x minus 3. Whoop. Should have been a 3. Divided by x times x minus 1. Now when I look at the denominators, notice that this one is missing the x minus 1. Here I have both of the factors, so I'm going to multiply this denominator by x minus 1. And of course, when I do that to the denominator, I must do exactly the same to the numerator, x minus 1. And now I have the two same denominators. I can write both numerators over the very same denominator. So this is equal to 3 times x minus 1 minus an x minus 3, all divided by x times x minus 1. Now be careful, don't try to cross these out because you can't, because of the negative sign over here. The best thing to do now is to multiply everything through to see what we get. So this is equal to 3x minus 3 minus x plus 3, all divided by x times x minus 1. Now notice in the numerator I have a minus 3 and a plus 3, they cancel out. And then by collecting common terms, continuing over here, I can see that in the numerator 3x minus x, which is 2x, divided by the denominator x times x minus 1. And then again, I look at that and realize that both the numerator and the denominator have the factor x, so I can cancel those out, and I'm left with 2 over x minus 1 as the final simplified form of that subtraction. And that is how it's done.